The reason you clicked on this video is because you find it difficult to control your impulses. You find yourself sabotaging your life and doing things that are contradicting. For example, you're supposed to be productive today, but you feel like watching YouTube instead. So you do that and attack yourself for doing it. If you zoom out, you realize that your life right now reflects your childhood home and your relationship with your parents. And if your parents fail to set you healthy boundaries as a kid, it's likely that you're not going to be able to do that as an adult either. But here's the good news. You're not actually broken, and you're not doomed to stay living this way for the rest of your life. To put your life into order, you simply have to practice self-parenting. But before we can do that, we have to first analyze what we're actually dealing with. Imagine a home where a child is throwing tantrums whenever they don't get what they really want, or when they're supposed to do their homework or a chore, they become hyperactive and can't focus at all. And then there's the parent who doesn't know how to control their child. Right now, in this moment, you are this home. Within yourself, you carry this child and this parent. And your life reflects this dysfunction within yourself. And it's not like the inner child is evil. It actually holds all your creativity, your emotions, and your passion in life. But they have a really short attention span and lack any judgment. Essentially, they only know this very moment and nothing else. And then there's the inner parent, and they contain all your rationality, your moral values, and your judgment. The inner parent is the version of you that keeps developing as you age. And it also represents your free will and your ability to choose your actions. Now, if your life looks like this dysfunctional home, then it means that the inner parent has to do something different. And there's two faulty tactics that the inner parent is currently trying to use that are creating the dysfunction. There's the tactic that allows the child to do whatever they want. In the first tactic, the parent cannot deal with the child. They feel powerless to do anything about their misbehavior, so they resign as a parent. And in the end, the child basically gets to do whatever they want. They get all the candy from the supermarket and they get to play video games all day. And the tactic works. The inner child never throws tantrums. But this isn't love. This isn't what the child deserves. And the child is not living a happy life. Deep inside, they know that the parent has given up and they are not worthy of healthy boundaries. They are essentially leading their own life because they are not worthy of being led. Then there's the tactic of oppressing the child and having really strict boundaries for the child so it wouldn't throw tantrums. In this second tactic, the parent doesn't want to deal with the child either, but this time instead of giving in, they can't tolerate any of this misbehavior. So the inner parent sets really strict boundaries and enforce those boundaries with strict punishments. They yell at the child, they use pain, both physical and emotional, to keep the child in check. And this tactic also works. The child never throws any tantrums. But in this case, the child is forced to suppress being a child, and their life lacks passion and joy. And if either one of those environments sounds familiar, that's because the life that you grew up in is often reflected in your life currently as it is right now. Someone who had strict boundaries as a kid probably sets themselves strict boundaries in their adult life, and someone who got to do whatever they wanted fails to set those boundaries for themselves. Now, as I said before, both of those homes, the one where the child gets to do whatever they want and the one where there's too strict boundaries set for the child, they are both dysfunctional. They suppress the child from being fully themselves. Now, because most of the people watching this video are in the first camp, where the child gets to do whatever they want, I'll be focusing the rest of this video on this scenario. Now, the first thing we have to understand is, why do we give the power to the inner child in the first place? Now, when the inner parent lets the child run the show, this often comes from the false assumption that when the child is throwing a tantrum, what they need in that moment is freedom. But what the child really needs is someone to set loving boundaries and also stay with them throughout those emotions. The child needs to feel that it's safe to feel whatever it's feeling. It needs a safe space from the parent. But what is safe space really? It's a space where emotions can be embraced and felt without having any real-world consequences. The child must feel that its feelings are not going to lead to bad outcomes. And part of this comes from the parent setting healthy boundaries and choosing what is best for the child. But the child must also feel that its emotions are fully allowed. And the parent must stay present and with the child throughout its tantrum. They must be able to feel through their emotions without an expectation to stop. And this is actually how we live a life where we feel connection to others and ourselves, while also having control where our life is going. It's a life where we allow feelings to be felt, but our actions are not based on the feelings. Now, a practical way to do this is actually setting yourself concrete boundaries that you will follow no matter what. And these boundaries, they must be set by the inner parent, so you have to come up with them rationally. And when you're coming up with these boundaries, ask yourself this question: what kind of life do I actually want to live? What are the loving boundaries for myself so that my life is good? And really sit down, writing down these boundaries for different scenarios. How much money are you going to use every week? When do you go to sleep and when you wake up? When are you allowed to eat unhealthy foods? When do you exercise? How much do you work every day? Etc. And the more clearly you set your boundaries, the more clearly you write them down, the more easy it is to stand by those boundaries when the inner child is throwing a tantrum. Now, setting these boundaries for yourself is only half of the solution. Once you set those boundaries, you actually have to make sure that you stand behind them and you enforce them. And what this requires is for you to be able to feel and stay with the inner child, no matter what it feels during its tantrum. Now, if you have let your inner child run the game for a long time, the change won't happen overnight. But it's really important to make the initiative and start practicing staying with the inner child. What you have to learn to do is separate your actions from your feelings, so that the inner child feels safe to feel whatever it feels without any adverse consequences. For example, when you feel the craving to eat something unhealthy, you tell without hesitation to your inner child, no, we're not going to eat that right now. But then you stay open to everything that the inner child feels as a result to that. Now, to practice this, there's actually a technique known as letting go. In letting go, you learn to feel and observe your feelings without reacting or resisting them. You feel your feelings, but you choose your actions consciously. And letting go is practiced in a form of mindfulness meditation. And next I'm going to outline this meditation that you can do it for yourself. The letting go meditation is done sitting down on a chair. You have your feet firmly on the ground so that you feel like that you can take anything that comes up. You sit with your back straight and your hands on your thighs. And you close your eyes. Now, to help you feel all the sensations going on inside you, we're going to use breathing as a tool. And when we're actually suppressing what we feel, we unconsciously use our breathing to do this. We might be breathing fast or shallow, or to our chest instead of our stomach. In letting go meditation, you take deep breaths that expand your lungs downwards to your stomach. Then you hold your breath for a moment, and then you slowly exhale through your mouth. And finally, you hold your breath with empty lungs. Now, to practice the timing of this, you can use the 6-3-6-3 counting method. But you can also use other counting methods, such as the box breathing, which is just 4 seconds for each segment. Now, when you begin a letting go meditation, you start by doing a grounding. And you do this by visualizing your awareness moving from your head down your spine to the base of your spine, and then doing 3 breathing cycles focusing at the base of your spine. After you have done the grounding, the aim is to stay open to any sensations, physical sensations within your body that arise and want your awareness. The aim is not to force anything to come up. It's simply to stay open to whatever there is. And if you have trouble feeling any sensations at all, try to focus on the sensation of nothingness. How does it feel to feel nothing in your body? And as you start feeling sensations in your body, keep breathing deeply into them. You can even visualize yourself giving those sensations your validation through your breath. And this is the important part. You want to stay with the sensations no matter what happens. Sometimes they get stronger, sometimes they get more subtle. They might move in your body or change in nature, but you really have to stay with them and not try to get rid of them. When it comes to the type of sensations you're looking for, it can be basically anything. It can be tingling, it can be pain, it can be pressure, heat or cold. Sometimes you can't even describe the sensation with words. And this meditation should be done whenever you need to assert those boundaries for your inner child and when it wants to take control of you. Instead of reacting to your inner child and giving it what it wants, you instead practice non-reaction so that you can choose your actions and set those healthy boundaries yourself. Now, if you haven't really done meditation before, doing this letting go meditation can be really difficult and intimidating. And for that reason, I made an easy to follow letting go meditation that is fully guided and beginner friendly that only lasts for 10 minutes. You can use this guided meditation for as long as you need until you get the hang of it. So make sure to click on the video right now on the screen to access that meditation. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.